You want me to go first?
Well,
you want me to talk about how much this is fucking Gil from The Simpsons, even though it's actually supposed to be based on his character from Glengarry?
Yeah.
Like, this is the Gillest
I
motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
I texted Scott after this movie was over, and I said something to the effect of, I think Tad's going to hate this with the white hot intensity of 1,000 Suns.
Oh, it's one of the worst movies I've ever watched.
Same here.
I literally want every second of this back, and I'm going to take it out of John's skin at some point in the future. Every character in this is completely reprehensible, with the exception of one. Not him.
Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews is the only character in this movie who is not completely reprehensible, and she's acting in the wrong movie. She's acting in a movie that this movie isn't. Her performance was literally like a Bosley hair transplant out of a different movie into this one, and no one else has any idea that this is supposed to be some sort of family drama, but also apparently don't know that it's supposed to be a comedy, because the tweet I sent about the Batman movie was funnier than everything that happened in this movie put together. That's something some guy dished off in 20 seconds on Twitter this morning. And I literally couldn't hate this any more than I think I possibly do. Like, I don't even really have anything particularly interesting to say about it, because the entire time I was just like, I want this to end. I want this to end. I'm rooting for an asteroid to come down and destroy the planet while I'm watching this.
So I don't have to watch it.
I don't knew it. I don't want to watch any of this ever again, ever. And it's funny because there's people I like in this movie too. Like, I love Jack Lemmon,
Robert
Loggia.
Robert Loggia's great, except for that recent time when he was in a bunch of anti-abortion movies. But
he got old and crazy. This movie at least made me appreciate the fact that The Party is not Blake Edwards' worst movie.
No, this was kind of like a paycheck film, as Chris pointed out, this was shot at his house.
It's a home movie.
It's a home movie.
And his two of their
it's got his wife
in it. And
his son.
All of this, everyone's related.
Everybody's related. And
I'll bet you Sally Kellerman really lived next door too, like she does in the story.
I think you brought this in because Sally Kellerman died, and you want to the thing is, she was so freaking god awful in this film.
She's like a character.
She would come in and just like someone had put electrodes in her head and was like, I'm gonna act nutty and weird. And
someone was gonna write a caricature.
Every time you watch her walk in, then she explode. It was like bizarre.
I kept waiting for Burt Lancaster to come through in trunks.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
He would not have been out of place.
Also, Jack Lemmon
would have been better acting.
Oh yeah, he was remarkably awful as a character.
Lemon,
remarkably awful.
Yes, I love Jack Lemmon.
Good. But Jack Lemmon's son was good.
I forgot why I liked Jack Lemmon. He was so terrible.
It almost erased The Apartment. It was that bad, right?
Right.
Well, you hold your tongue.
No, I'm just kidding.
I've never liked
The Apartment. That's some great one, but this was like. But the thing is, the character is just like this flandering a-hole who keeps slipping around. The whole thing with the crabs, and oh my god,
the way he makes Julie Andrews go out to dinner when she clearly doesn't want to, and she has this thing she needs to tell him, and he never fucking shuts up. It's awful. In a way, that's like the best part of the movie, because at least it wrung a real emotion out of me on behalf of Julie Andrews' character.
Well, it's the only funny joke in the movie is the worst thing you can possibly eat if you have gout is fucking lobster.
Oh yeah. Right. Oh yeah, he had gout, and it's like then he would get the richest food you can possibly get your hands on. And that
I can't eat that stew. I gotta go to the restaurant.
A regulation football too. It was
tremendous. Corey's good. Corey's good in this. That's the maybe the actually only redeeming character in this movie is Corey, who actually gives a fuck about all of these people, which I don't understand.
Inexplicably so.
He loves all of them, and it's just like, man, you got to get out of here, dude. Like, you seem to have a nice wife. What?
Which one was Corey?
The guy, the cook,
guy running the house,
the housekeeper.
Who was kind of like working the edge of a magical Negro character.
A little bit.
Yeah,
he was getting there.
Except he's never magical. All he wants is to have tea with Julie Andrews because they don't hang out anymore.
But he asks for nothing, and he's there to nurture all the white people.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Yes.
Well, yeah, and it's not just all the white.
But he's being paid by the hour to do so. So
let's just talk about the privilege in this movie for a second. So I looked that they filmed this in was worth $10 million in 1986. It's just sold recently for like $33 million.
So this place was ridiculously expensive back then.
This is the only reason it was that low is because it might catch on fire any summer.
Well,
and it almost did this summer.
I'm sure.
I don't know that you.
No, when they filmed this,
you couldn't make this movie anymore because it's a bunch of rich entitled people whining about their lot in life as they look out over the Malibu coastline.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck happened to Blake Edwards, but like, I went back and I looked at the filmography and I was like, some pretty good stuff in the 60s. I mean, I like all of the first 4 Pink Panthers, particularly the first 3, I like a lot. I like 10 even. I like SOB. I kind of like Victor Victoria. And then he went way off. Like if you actually look at his 80s output, including this, they are all universally fucking terrible.
Well, hold on.
Like
this was
didn't know how to adapt to something.
Victor Victoria was maybe his last great movie, but what?
Yes,
it was made for television.
Which is what was made for television?
Victor Victoria.
I did not know that.
No, was it the one that came out?
No, it couldn't have been. It could not have been.
It was theatrically released.
It was no, it was not. It was a theatrical film. It was actually.
There's two.
It was after.
There's 2 versions.
Yeah.
But
get your alarm out because that film was shot in scope.
Output included Mickey and Maude, which is fucking terrible. This, which is fucking terrible. Switch, Blind Date. I mean, these are all.
There's the one with John Ritter and the glow in the dark condoms.
Horrible fucking movies.
He wasn't doing anything good.
You know what I was thinking about this film and just the attitudes in it? It's like this is like the 60s beget the 70s, and we had the sexual revolution, and this is like the last dying echo. Just the way the characters talk of the 70s and that mindset, the way that character that he had the affair with at the house under construction says, "I want to make love and then stand on my patio naked," was like, wow, that's not a line from an 86 movie as much as it is from a 76 movie.
No, it's probably in 10. I mean, honestly, if you take Dudley Moore in 10, who also sort of semi-tortures Julie Andrews through the whole goddamn thing.
Right.
But weirdly, in the context of the time that it came out, it's slightly more forgivable, although I think it's not aged particularly well. It's just I thought it's got some really good slapsticky gags, but this movie does not play.
Dudley Moore's character is basically Jack Lemmon's character in this movie, only older and less funny and more desperate.
And they're all, I mean, Sally Kellerman is, like I said, she's like, if you took Mad Magazine's version of what a typical Sally Kellerman character would be. Plop her in the movie. And that's basically what you got.
Like an SNL impression of Sally Kellerman.
Jack Lemmon, like all these people are doing like SNL impressions of what they
of themselves. In fact, that's why you had Jack Lemmon doing the guy from Glengarry, and that's why you had
I can't feel sorry because all their problems are manifested. All of the, like, with the exception of Julie Andrews, who is truly going through something sort of traumatic and has to continue to keep putting her needs behind
keeping a lid on it.
Everybody, all these other assholes.
That's kind of is that the joke or is that the gimmick? It was kind of awful. It was sadistic.
I think it's supposed to be the joke.
I think it's supposed to be the joke. It's weird. There's a bit near
the. Think this was funny.
There's a bit near the 2/3 point where Julie Andrews is on a beach by herself, and she obviously has an existential crisis. Bursts into tears and is crying and realizes she's afraid she's going to die. Right.
Yeah. I literally stopped. When Sally Kellerman showed up, I literally stopped the movie and I got up and I walked out of the room. I almost didn't finish the movie.
Yeah, she's going to come over and be insensitive.
Yeah, no, because that moment was so beautiful and pure. She did a fantastic job on it, and the lighting was great, and everything was just perfect on it. And she walks up and just basically is.
It's almost a horror movie.
It is. It's almost a horror movie. That was like one of the weirdest things I've ever seen anyone do. For a moment,
guys, that scene in particular is the one that's all the way back from back in '86 that stuck in my mind when I thought about seeing this film again. But I had a completely false, inverted memory where it was Sally Kellerman.
Wait. You'd seen this before?
86.
Oh, when it came out.
You'd seen this before, and you still chose to make the rest of us watch it.
I told you I'm taking this time.
I'm telling you, Chris, I'm not the bastard here.
I'm like, I'm going to give John a break. None of us had seen this, and so it's fine. We didn't know it was going to be this terrible.
Hey,
I just Knight Ridered you guys again.
No, I can't clean. It's Blake Edwards, Julia Andrews.
I would watch Knight Riders 3 times before I watch this again.
Yeah.
In a row.
We had enough of a seal of quality to this thing to at least start the film. You know what I mean?
Look at it, you go, Blake Edwards, great cast. But how bad could it be?
Well, I'm gonna let it wash over me.
It's like Blake Edwards, that life. He puts his fucking name above the title.
Yeah,
he was proud of this one, I guess.
And the exclamation point did not help.
He was proud of getting all of his friends' kids their SAG cards.
Right.
That's what he was fucking proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is what else? I didn't have time to look it up, but what else is Chris Lemmon in?
He's in Thunder. He's in Thunder in Paradise. He's the co-star of Thunder in Paradise, which is literally Nightboat from The Simpsons. Except instead of it being just Nightboat from The Simpsons, the star is Terry Hulk Hogan Bollea.
Whoa!
Oh my!
Wow!
Yeah. He's the co-star. He put on a bunch of muscle and he wears fucking tank tops and tries to hit on chicks at the beach. It's the worst. I love that show so much. Yeah. Scott, please put at least part of the intro to Thunder in Paradise, which you can find on
have
YouTube.
No doubt that's available all over the place. I will put that in there. Yes, I'll do that. No, this time I will do it. Actually, not like doing the John thing.
There's a movie that you could have made.
Yeah.
These people.
Tad can make a request.
Well,
my requests are funny.
I have to remember anything.
There's a movie that came out in '79 or '80 called Serial about Marin County. And
that one.
Yeah, the movie is effectively like What a Bunch of Assholes, and you could have made a movie about all these assholes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking of what's the Paul Mazursky?
Which one?
Down and Out in Beverly Hills. You know, I think
they're
like critical.
Yeah.
Or Rules of Attraction. You could very much make a Rules of Attraction out of this.
Sure. So in other words, the normative treatment of like extremely privileged people as this is like normal life is what's offensive about this film.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, yeah, well, everyone has problems getting help at their Malibu estate.
The worst thing that's ever happened to Jack Lemmon's character is he cheated on his wife who might have cancer and got crabs and was immediately treated in the only funny scene in the movie where he's standing there waiting for the doctor and there's all of the horrible things going on behind him. He keeps going, it's an emergency. And then the doctor comes out and instead of being like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Immediately takes him into the room where the guy just died.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It draws the curtain.
Okay, Tad, get your horn out for a sec because I want to talk about mise en scène for a second.
Mise en scène.
Because thank you. Blake Edwards, he's usually the master of this. He failed miserably the entire movie. All his compositions are flat on, centered. Nothing's going on in the negative space or anywhere like that, except for the sequence that Tad just mentioned.
Right.
Because you have
the ER check-in desk.
Lines of action going. That was actually hysterically funny. He's crabbing about bullshit, and then and this background people are dying. I get that stuff, things sticking out of him. And that was fantastic comedy. It's like he suddenly remembered he was Blake Edwards in that sequence. That was it.
But then he ruins it by having the guy sit straight up in bed and say crabs and then cutting. Like, what the fuck was that?
Was that the punchline? I don't know.
Yeah, he needed a tag at the end of the scene.
Oh, fucking hell.
And I don't think
you can get that big a case of crabs that fast.
The movie keeps cutting back and forth between, the movie starts off, you got this, Julie Andrews under sedation getting a throat scrape, and then they keep cutting back to the test.
This China doom thing.
And then the camera,
like lab technicians.
And then they're finally looking at her scan. The guy's like, well, what am I telling her? Cut. Okay, fine. You're going to keep making us wait while this poor woman has to endure all this bullshit. And then, so I'm going to write okay on my hand.
Because he's so clever.
And then we're going to have her scene where she talks to her husband about it with no audio.
Yeah.
And then it goes right back to
because he couldn't write it well enough.
Well, then it just goes right back to being about his bullshit.
I know.
End credits.
Oh, you're gonna live. Meanwhile, blah blah blah. I know it's just this. Is
Meanwhile, I'm going crazy.
Now, meanwhile, I'm going to be incredibly shitty to my daughter when I'm apologizing to her.
Right.
So I have to do this. I have to take this film and do a CGI thing. When he goes up with his hands going, okay, it's going to say, "You're fucked." And then we'll go to crash to black at that point. Now the end of the film.
Right. Yeah.
It would have been better that way if she knew she was doomed.
He writes an E in the middle of his forehead, and it's DED.
This is even better. No, I'm not. This is definitely the worst movie we've ever watched on this show.
Darn close.
It's definitely.
I don't know what was worse.
According to
the dead cat movie was pretty.
No, I enjoy that more than this.
I kind of cried a little bit.
I enjoy the
dead cat movie's better than this.
The dead cat movie had hot.
Dead cat movie better.
Yeah. You know, you should have made a dead cat movie. Like
but you know, go watch Great Race, Shot in the Dark, the two 70s Pink Panther movies, the Return of the Pink Panther and Pink Panther Strikes Again.
is still good.
Those are great. SOB is great. I like, 10's hasn't aged, but it's funny.
Because it's also got Robert Preston in it.
This movie's worse.
Days of Wine and Roses. My God, he did that one.
This movie's worse because of the pedigree, right? This movie's worse because of
kind of what
who's in it.
It automatically sets the expectations high.
Yeah.
Like, did you guys ever see?
I mean, technically, this movie's no worse than what was the one with? It wasn't James Caan, but the one with the sort of Hawaii Five-0 Miami Vice thing we watched.
Oh, Manhunter?
No, it wasn't Manhunter. Was it Manhunter? No.
What was it about?
This guy is like trying to get money, and it's him and this woman
the Miami one, with
Miami Blues.
Blues. Yeah.
Miami
Alec Baldwin.
This isn't even close to being Miami Blues is a good movie. What do you guys
think? It's
better than that. It's better than this.
Oh yeah.
Well, sorry guys.
So
this is again, it's false memory. It's like in '86, I guess I was a different person because I came away with it thinking, oh, that was pretty good. And as time went by, I got curious to see it again. So
Scott, can you just put cocaine in giant letters across?
It was kind of the undercurrent.
That's the end. That's the end of the scene.
Caine's a hell of a drug.
The sword in the heart of this thing is that this whole film was so badly made. It was like there was a scene at the airport where they're useless scene at the airport. They're picking somebody up. You get the camera shadow in the scene twice. Yeah. You've been there, come in there. Once there's a camera shadow, you pan over. There's a camera shadow again. It's like, and then you can just see like light stands and 45 lighting. This is bad. This film was thrown together. Yeah,
with his kids.
He made it at his house with his kids.
I at one point when I was watching the movie and I was just casting around for anything to latch onto in it, I was like, oh, the other daughter, Kate, right? That's her name. She seems fine. And then her boyfriend shows up and she starts screaming at him about giving the dog a fucking sedative. And I was just like, I hate you too. Congratulations. I thought you were a character that I could sympathize with, and now you're screaming at this guy who just flew all the way across the country to try to get you back for not sedating the fucking dog.
And then what happened? They made
nothing.
Up.
They made up.
And just like that's even worse. They both go to the bottom of the roster at that point. It's like, all right, there's no drama at all. It gets diffused like the end of the film. All the drama gets diffused. This film ends in a mush. It's like putting it by these characters in a blender.
Basically, Jack Lemmon is lawful almost start to finish, and then Julie Andrews tells him off. One scene, maybe 6 sentences.
Yep.
Grow up and stop your bullshit, or I'll leave you. And then he snaps out of it, and end of movie, curtain.
Yep, pretty much.
Yep.
I guess.
I don't have cancer.
We have to kind of stop talking. I'm actually forced to stop talking about this and do thumbs and move to the next one because it's like there's nothing else we can talk about in this film. Sorry, man.
Not even close.
Robert Loggia's pretty good in the confession scene.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that
he was a good.
My God, we never still watched it because sometimes you guys character. How you gonna know a person makes a filmmaker makes good movies? You don't see an occasional shitty one they make.
Well, I've seen all the Blake Edwards movies now.
Yeah, pretty much. That completes me as well.